Good evening, I'm Adrian Gobriel. Flu season is upon us. Now, when it comes to the vaccine, there's no shortage of opinions. However, tonight we're learning that we could be just 10 years away from a universal flu vaccine, which would protect you from all strains of the flu. Though we're also learning tonight that this year's vaccine will only protect you from about 50% of the flu strains floating around us.
It's disappointing in some sense. It'd be nice to be better protected, but it's not. Doesn't mean you shouldn't get the flu vaccine. Doesn't mean you should feel like getting vaccinated this year was a waste of time.
Some might say, but it's only a 50-50 chance. I'm only protected 50% now.
So let me ask you a question. If I offered you a new innovation in your car that protected you from 50% of car accidents, would you take that?
I definitely would.
So there you go. That's the trouble with flu vaccine. It's not brilliant, okay? It doesn't protect you from everything, but it's a lot better than nothing.
While many who get the flu shot don't go to the doctor's office or hospital for tests, Toronto Public Health confirms in the last 2 weeks of December, they were able to confirm 69 new cases. That's up from about 7 the week before, for a total of 270 confirmed cases. And this year's strains are presenting a challenge in the fight to combat the virus. There's A, there's B, it might as well be Y and Z for most people because they don't understand. If you can break us through the strains and what we're seeing this year, which is a little bit different.
Well, so there are 3 main strains of influenza that circulate, 1B and 2As. And the A's are called H3 and H1. And every year when a flu season comes, 1 or 2 of those strains predominate. You can't tell ahead of time which one it's going to be. And sometimes they come together, and that's what's happening this year. So this year we're seeing a mixed wave of influenza that is B and H3 at more or less the same time.
Now, while that might sound scary, it's not completely unheard of. We just haven't seen a mixed wave of flu strains in about the last 10 years. Now, I also asked the experts today if it's too late for you to get your flu shot. They said no, but you should know it takes about 2 weeks for it to kick in, which would mean it should kick in right around peak flu season. Earlier on City News, we told you about the challenges in combating this season's flu. The current vaccine this season is only helping about 50% of the flu viruses which are floating around out there. That, according to the head of infection prevention and control at Mount Sinai, who I also spoke with today about the challenges in creating a vaccine for an ever-evolving virus.
There's 2 specific challenges with the vaccines we have now. The first of them is that we have to decide at the end of February what's going in the vaccine for the next October, because it takes 6 months to make the vaccine. Of course, influenza virus evolves, so sometimes you make a decision in February, and before the season starts the next January, it's almost a year later by the time the season starts, the influenza virus has changed enough that the vaccine doesn't work as well. Our second problem with influenza vaccines is, at the moment, almost all of the technology for making influenza viruses starts out by growing the virus in eggs. When you do that, sometimes you induce the virus to change as it's growing in the eggs. It's just a consequence of growing in chickens' eggs and how you make it grow fast enough to be able to make vaccine in 6 months. And sometimes that can also reduce the efficacy of the vaccine.
So what's the solution? Well, according to Dr. McGeer, a universal vaccine would do the trick. As we told you, at 5 and 6, we're about 10 years out from a universal vaccine. It's currently being tested on rodents, and it has proved successful. The next step, seeing if it's safe for human consumption. Now, some additional tips for you along with getting the flu vaccine tonight. As you might know, wash your hands often. Avoid touching your eyes and face. Cover your cough and sneeze. Do not share cups and utensils, and disinfect common areas.